What's going on, everyone? Good morning. Great morning. Wherever you are in the world right now, I am so glad that we are here together as we get ready for our next live session. Happy Wednesday, CTM, bringing the vibe strong. The positivity is contagious. You guys are all really a happy bunch. I absolutely love it. I'm grateful for it. This session today, preparing all day yesterday, not understanding what we were going to cover and the importance of it. If you go back and you watch any of the videos on this channel, whether you're going back this week, last week, the week before, it's all pure signal, right? Always looking for what is the most important thing to be focused in on, and then making sure and why we do that, by the way, from afar, keeping abreast of all markets, silver and gold right now. You can see that. Here's the breakout occurring. It's time for us to start paying attention. We're going to line it up on silver. We're going to line it up on gold also. Take a look at them as they are breaking a line of repair. It's not just them. Bitcoin this morning, you could see breaking. There we go. Let's start with this chart over here. You could see breaking out this next line of repair, where it leads and where it goes, right? We looked at that yesterday. We're watching right now the most important trend line in crypto, right? I don't mean to confuse you with this over. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let me go ahead and take this off the charts. I apologize for that. All right. I wasn't even getting going yet. That's the problem. There we go. How about that? By the way, if you're watching the stream today and you are with us and you are new, welcome. I am so glad that you are here. It is good that you're here. And if you're not, welcome back and smash the like button. Help the channel, help support the channel with the Google algorithm. Really appreciate that very much, everyone. All right. Where are we? How are we beginning? What are we talking about? What's this three peaks and doomed of what? Y'all remember the Wyckoff? The pattern was clear, the Wyckoff distribution pattern. Now, most people caught it at the very end. There's no question about that. And then everyone quickly lined up what it would look like, look for the accumulation, and then what? We were going to end up back where we were, right? But this pattern also here, right? As first time I ever heard of it, Ted went ahead and shared it with me the other day. When Ted's sharing something, I'm paying attention. I love it. Listen, the three peaks in a doomed house chart pattern, what it is, if you line it up with Bitcoin, you can see that it's Bitcoin cycle. It's part of the 4-year cycle. It's part of that blow off top phase and how the pattern develops coming into it. Right? So Ted has already gone ahead and he's put the schematic on the price. This is the current price, by the way, in 2021, right? Here's the mid-side 2020 into 2021. This is over here in March, April, May, June, July, and here we are right now into August, right? Is what happened next what we see, playing out on the CTM model? Well, that's what happened in 2017, 4 years earlier. Exactly 4 years earlier. And why these things are not meant to play out exactly in line, they certainly do rhyme. Right? And then when we have the double wave 1, wave 2, into that lift off and blow off top, and will this three peaks and doomed house chart pattern be playing out for the Wall Street cheat sheet with different eyes and a different view? I think that, listen, all right, well, here's what I think about it. It's undeniable. What's that? A domed house. Stefan, thanks for that. It's doomed because after that it falls. That's the thank you. A domed house. I guess because it got the little dome on top, but it's a doomed house also because this is when the bear market comes. Right? It's really interesting because there's a lot of discussion and conversation out there. I want to talk about on-chain analytics versus TA. Clearly, the TA guys have a clear advantage. Right? We had people, this is going back year of the bull. Shout out to Misconfig on his Twitter game. If you haven't seen the video that we did here on the channel together when we did the interview, you have to watch that. This was put out in June talking about the bear trap that was taking place mid-cycle over here with the golden ratio, the golden fib ratio, 1.618. Right? And how that's played out in each past cycles, keeping that awareness and keeping it strong when it was tough. This is when it mattered, right? Now, the on-chain analytics guys at this point, they were like, yeah, everything's extraordinarily bullish. and they maintained their bullishness. That was a super strong signal as well. That was confirmation, affirmation. Now, when you put the two together, you get a much stronger and clearer picture of what's going on. It's how we were able to maintain so far that we are currently mid-cycle. Remember, I kept showing you this photo over here, trying to bring everyone's awareness to where we were, which is that bear trap over here at the golden ratio, which so far has occurred every cycle. Now, it's true going forward, something might change. There might be a time, it might be this very moment in 2021 where the golden ratio doesn't hold, where this is actually a bull trap. It's possible. We've talked about leaning in on the technicals. Listen, if you're bearish on Bitcoin, retail was bearish down over here in this area when we were towards the lows. And I'll say, well, that's dangerous. You don't have an edge to the upside or to the downside. That's very unclear. You're going to have clarity once you break out of the most important trend line in crypto. That's when you want to really start participating when you have momentum. But selling down here, I don't really see that. But if we break out to the upside and test the most important trend line in crypto, which, we haven't had any type of bounce since the breakdown, it makes sense and it's logical. That's the opportunity for them to attack, right? And then as that was unfolding, pointing it out in real time, as the bears break the trend line, this is the first trigger they had, they could then set their risk. So if you're bearish and hedged, are you still pushing this position? No, you exited this morning, right? If you were bearish and had a small profit, yet golf clap. By the way, if you enjoy this video at any moment, just a reminder, please go ahead and just actually stand up as you do it, but smash the like button, help other people know about what we do here in CTM, So here we are. If you're hedged, and some of CTM, they were able to hedge to the short. It's not my thing. Wasn't looking to do it myself. But the long side over here, right? If you did hedge, it's time to take off your hedge as price has broken out now to the upside. And where it goes, right? We already played this out in advance. It's like I don't want to say we're always 2 steps ahead. I think we're always like 3 or 4 steps ahead. And yesterday we were planning out like the next move is what happens over here, talking about why this move into the most important trend line in crypto is more important than the first one. The first one, we didn't know what was going to happen, but more or less expected that, well, it was at first going to get rejected. If we're able to go ahead and actually break the most important trend line in crypto on this next route at it, that would be entirely bullish. Now, there's risk with everything. There's risk with everything. You don't know that price breaking outside, buyers gaining momentum this morning, that price is automatically going to come out and reach the most important trend line in crypto. This could be a failed breakout attempt, and then we could come back down and make a lower low. That's why you have stop losses when you do these things, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to play out. Now, what you're risking between this area, if you're taking this trade, look, it's aggressive. What do I mean by that? Well, what's aggressive about it is that we haven't broken the most important trend line in crypto. Once you break the most important trend line in crypto, at that point, I personally feel, and this is someone, right, who's been playing this out in advance, in advance of it happening. Do you remember how early I put in that most important trend line in crypto, right? Do you remember when we got neutral, stop trading, right? Stop trading, start trading. All of this, right? Oh, but I could accumulate more Bitcoin if I'm trading these moves to the upside and downside during this $5,000 range, because that's what I want to do. I want to accumulate more Bitcoin. So that's why I'm trading from both sides. Jordan, what are you standing aside? What's going on with this guy? What's the deal? There's money to be made. It's the markets. And I'm in a rush to lose my money. And everyone's in a rush to lose their money instead of just doing this, lining it up, taking that patience for that clarity. Is it aggressive to take this move over here as we get an entry this morning? I think so. I'm fine with that. I know how to manage my risk, right? Now, if you're risking 5% over here in this area, right? What's your potential target? Are you taking profit into the most important trend line in crypto? Now, pause 1 second, try to keep up with me because I'm going to rewind really quick. before I come back to this T, reminding me, would I take profit into the most important trend line in crypto? Of course not. Now, the smarter trade, when I say smarter, I mean the higher probability trade, right? You could take less trades with higher probability, right? Would be to go ahead and wait for the break of the most important trend line in crypto. As price breaks the most important trend line, blah, 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 blah. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, CTM. And thanks for being here this morning. If you wait for price to break the most important trend line in crypto, you then have two options. At that point, I believe myself and personally that the mid-cycle low is in. That once again, the low did happen to occur in January, most of the yearly lows occurring in January or December, that it happened to occur in January, and the golden ratio happened to hold, and Bitcoin happened to be mid-cycle, now approaching the end game of the 2021 bull market, right? Something that we have been lining up well in advance. Alan, Al, thank you, my brother, right? Monique, good morning. The safer stop loss and managing your risk is putting it, if you're taking a trade mid-cycle into what's approaching to be the cycle peak. We looked at the potential, the people think that what, some people from afar watch what's being presented here and they're like, you just repeat yourself. Don't confuse consistency with thesis with repeating yourself. Don't hold maintaining a view and being on the right side of the trade as repeating yourself, right? But if you see what we've been setting up, what I've been setting up for days and weeks in advance, you know that we have this opportunity where potentially price has the potential on this breakout to go 9x into the peak over the next 4 or 5 months, right? Now, if we see something like diminishing returns, and is it possible we're looking at something like $140,000, $160,000 on Bitcoin? Right? Is it possible that we only have a 5x from here or a 4x from here? And if it's only a 4 or 5x, is it not something that you want to participate in? If you're trying to achieve 70%, if you're trying to achieve 70% a year, and you have the ability to make a 4x in 4 or 5 months, don't you think it's into your advantage and you save years off your goals by doing that? All right. So the safer trade, right? If you're risking, what is this? This is approximately $12,000 on Bitcoin. What's your potential to the upside? 160,000. That's a 10x. It's a 10-to-1 risk reward. It's a good one, and it's a smart trade. It's a conservative trade. There's nothing wrong with it. It's CTM all day long. People should be considering it. And by the way, you don't need to exit at the just 10x from your risk to reward. You let that play where it's going to play. It's a fantastic trade. And how much are you risking on that $12,000 price move? Right? Are you risking 5% of your overall account? Right? Smart. Are you risking something? Are you aggressive in this particular moment? Are you risking something like 15 to 20% of your account? Realizing that the possibility remains once the most important trend line in crypto breaks, the possibility remains that that trade could get stopped out. If you were risking 15% of your account, right, and it's a $100,000 account, you just lost $15,000. Are you willing to do that for the potential gain to the upside? That's what you're asking yourself before you put on the trade. Or are you looking for something more aggressive, right? Are you looking, if price breaks the most important trend line in crypto, are you looking then maybe to take the last swing low, this low that we're putting in perhaps today? And is that the risk that you're putting in? That's what a $3,000 move. Now going up to $160,000. Now you're talking crazy X, right? And by the way, right, if that's what you're doing, if you're taking, what is this roughly? This is roughly 400. You could go with this one. By the way, I did this on a training session, OPSEX right here, on a CTM live training session. We were talking about how to take advantage of borrowing against Bitcoin at opportune times as the bull market's just getting started. How you could do it without understanding the 4-year cycle, I'm not sure. I don't know, right? And I had the email address, right, and in the session, and it took me 3 weeks to change it with BlockFi. I had to obviously use an address that no one's seen before. But it took them 3 weeks. I wasn't really happy with that. That happens to be my only bad experience with BlockFi. Everything else has been a pleasurable, good experience. If I want to buy Bitcoin and I wire funds to BlockFi, it takes, same day they're posted. Are the fees higher than other platforms? Perhaps. It depends what dollar amount you're dealing with and what fees mean to you in relation. I have a significant amount of money with BlockFi. I feel very comfortable with BlockFi. I understand there's risk. I understand that risk, that third-party risk, is the same for BlockFi it is for Gemini, right? I feel comfortable with the Winklevoss brothers. I know that BlockFi stores their Bitcoin in cold storage with the Winklevoss brothers, that the Winklevoss brothers were investors into the first round of BlockFi's platform. These guys are managed. They all have the same third-party risk. They're managing it together. I feel pretty good and comfortable about it, and I really like their security. I really like that if I want to withdraw funds from BlockFi, that first of all, it takes a week because I whitelist the address. I don't have any address in there. So if I add a new address, it takes a week to. So if the account were hacked, I would have 1 week to regain control of my account again, right? You could just call and get them on the phone, by the way. It's not like some of these other, was it CoinDesk? I'm saying Coinbase, right? I had lost the phone and I needed to reset my two-factor authentication with them, and you can't even get someone. I sent in tickets over a year ago that have not been answered. With BlockFi, you could just call up and get someone on the phone. I like that, and I also like that they do facial recognition when you're doing any type of withdrawal. Listen, there are risks when you don't hold your own keys. Be aware of them. Spread out your risks, right? Just don't use one broker. Use multiple brokers, right? Just don't have multiple opportunities to store your Bitcoin with best practices, including using multi-sig, including keeping devices in multiple locations. When you take control of your own money, you have to be very smart. But when you're being very smart about your own money, right, that means not just sitting out there and taking blind shots without a plan, but spending your time lining things up so when the opportunity presents itself, you are there to attack, right? Now, using your stop loss once price breaks the most important trend line in crypto on this last swing low, the odds of that getting hit are greater than the odds of this stop loss getting hit, right? You're risking the same, right? Are you risking 5% safe, right? Aggressive, but safe of your account? Or are you risking something more aggressive like 15, 20% of your account on this coming out of mid-cycle over here, right? These are the things that you have to be thinking about, and these are the things you need to be thinking about today as it's occurring. Now, there are some people out there, right? I mean, where did this come from? Who might be looking to take a highly aggressive trade, right? Could you imagine taking 5%, right? Taking risking $10,000 here, 5% of your account, right? And what's the upside? What are the odds of that getting hit? Well, they're pretty strong. If I didn't understand what I was doing it and why I was doing it, I just took this particular trade right here. This particular trade, right? What is that? That is I'm trying to figure out from entry, say it's about $700 on Bitcoin, right? And you would have got stopped out 99% of the time. There's no question about that. There's no question about that, right? Listen, but, and what about take profit? What happens if you're looking just to get the next wave? What's a wave of Bitcoin, and why would there be a potential wave of Bitcoin at this particular time, right? Here we are. We looked in the past at what happens when we break the most important trend line in crypto in previous cycles. I've showed it to you from so many different angles with so many different charts. A lot of people out there at this particular time, they're very confused about where we are, and they think it's random. This is the amazing thing about a market. There are many participants within that market. Some of the participants have privy to the same information as other market participants and still come out there with different conclusions, right? Now, CTM, we tried to consult all views at all times and make sure that we continue to try to disprove and firm up our own awareness, right? Beautiful to see the team growing all the time, right? Year of the Bulls work over here as we picked him up mid-cycle has been absolutely just displayed so beautifully. And when the fear was high, by the way, when the fear was highest, right? That was Bitcoin just a week ago, right? Remember with the videos we were putting out, Bitcoin a week ago? The bull of all bulls is getting ready to run. The risk is to the upside. As we come out of the descending wedge, showing everyone the breakout, retest, and resumption off the entry, the target, and then be aware we could come back off. As the bulls did it, here they came back down, all over it. Just absolutely all over it. So I guess what I'm lining up over here, and then we go back, and I wish I could do it. I'm gonna get it wrong. I'm gonna try to get it right. I'm trying to look for Randall's chart over here. Randall taking us out. I have it somewhere. We'll come back. There it is. The double wave, wave 1, 60 days approximately, right? Wave 2, another 60 days approximately, leading us up to this potential liftoff event. Will it happen again? I have no idea. I have no idea if we're going to see from the low of the mid-cycle over the next 150 days this type of price behavior play out. It's played out in the previous 2 cycles, but listen, there's no guarantee, or even, is there a probability it's going to happen again? I wouldn't have gotten this far if I weren't playing that probability the whole way through. I'll tell you that much. This is my base case. This is our base case. And it's different from a lot of people. When I say that, and before I go back into this trade over here being orchestrated, right? Being architected. Man, can you imagine? Smash the like button if you have not already. I want to show you this video, Willy Woo talking about what he sees going on, right? That he doesn't see, like, that we're mid-cycle at this point. He sees a lot of randomness in the market, right? None of this looks random to myself, personally. This looks like, when I look at this looks like clarity. I know exactly where we are, waiting to break the most important trend line in crypto. But I've known that. I've known that for months. It was in May that the most important trend line in crypto was drawn. And we said, once we break it, the momentum continues. You lined it up, looked at past cycles, you could see why. But I want to be aware of everyone's thought process out there that participates in this market. Because if Willie is thinking this, a lot of other people are thinking this. And like what Willie's saying in this over here is, like, listen, there's not going to be a blow off top. We're seeing a lot of randomness. And from here on in, we're probably just going to see randomness until Bitcoin's, like, anyway, says ridiculous things like $100 trillion.
But reasonably, cycle tops, is there a last cycle? Does it eventually just become a stable asset, because it's a standard? Where's this thing going in your mind?
I'm more and more siding on the last cycle. You can even see it on the chart. It's a drunken walk right now of demand and supply. We've had parabolic rises and a blow off top in 4-year cycles for 3 times now. And this time we're doing these kind of weird drunken walks of demand and supply as different participants come in and different effects happen. And so I'm kind of like with Michael Saylor, which he said to Laura Shin, there is no top, Laura. I think we might just not have these 4-year cycles because they're predicated on a supply shock from the halvening. Every 4 years, the sell pressure from miners halves. And the sell pressure from miners is getting pretty small now. We're at, 1.7% inflation rate per year.
There we go. All right. So I want everyone to be aware of those different thoughts out there. Listen, the halvening event, the next one, 2024, is it going to send a supply shock? What's the price of Bitcoin going to be as we approach the halving in 2024? Look, I've worked out what I believe the bear market low is going to be. I've showed you that even this week as I fine-tuned it a little bit, right? I'm trying to find out where it is. I don't have that with me right now. Listen, I think that the next halving is going to send a massive supply shock through the market, right? Let's see what happens. I don't even know why I wanted you to hear what people. I want you to be aware of what people are saying and when they're saying it. So going forward, you're able to realize who you should be consulting and who you should not, right? It's important. And if it turns out in January that what we're seeing, that what our base case is not playing out, and something drastically different is, well, then I want to know what are the possible theories that I should be paying the closest attention to, because if they're correct, that's what I want to lean into. Let's bring it forward. There were a couple of questions that I want to talk about before even going forward, right? And that, Alan, that's setting up the next part of this trade over here, the profit target, because we're looking what, 87,000, 94,000. We're gonna be the next move into 100,000. If you're taking a trade with this type of risk to reward, which is utterly massive, I think you want to take profits a little earlier, maybe trying to time these waves a little closer. Jordan, is it time to buy the dip? Andy, when I bought the dip, right? Or I bought the dip 39,000. I bought the dip again 33,500. As it was happening, aware that we were mid-cycle, price off 50%, right? If you are taking a calculated entry, they're being pointed out to you with the greatest precision this morning, and why. Now, if you're following regularly the live streams and the work we do here, when we're looking at this morning, right, you know exactly why we're talking about this and the importance of it, because you've been working this out this whole entire. Now, if you think that Bitcoin is rising too fast, Bitcoin up, what was it? Well, 8 days in a row, 9 days in a row. I remember back in the end September when Bitcoin was up 13 3 days in a row. I mean, that was price getting ahead of itself, price really ripping. Is this price ripping? No, this was the expected target breaking out of the descending wedge we were looking for. But a lot of people who don't really have that same awareness that we have here feel like, well, that came pretty quick, it didn't really make sense. Now that we're coming off, yeah, this makes a lot more sense, and we're looking for diminishing returns. Only we're not looking for diminishing returns as we see this uber easy monetary policy around us. By the way, today's jobs numbers came in lighter than expected, right? What does that mean and why that's important? Next non-farm payrolls, and everyone since, I called that out to you 2 months ago. From now on, start paying attention to non-farm payrolls. They're important again, right? If we get a big disappointment in the numbers, what does that mean? That means there's actually no recovery. What else does it mean? That means that they're not taking away the stimulus anytime soon, right? If anything, they're going to be adding more. So is that a glimpse of what's to come? I'm not sure. I definitely see, though, price to this point, which is the most important trend line in crypto, over here now into August, right? It reached it in July. It broke it 4 years earlier ago in July. And the return into it was approximately 250, 260%. This cycle, that's approximately 320, 350%. It's outperforming. I expect that's what's coming next. What about a potential profit target? Do you think that, that Bitcoin is going to test that $100,000 level? This bull market? Do you think that there's a high probability of that occurring, right? Do you think that Bitcoin is going to be able to push up past that $100,000 level as it comes into it without it first being resistance? By the way, this important trend line that we have over here, which is mid-cycle, this trend line over here is crucial for us playing out the end of the bull market cycle. It's a combination of Brad's model, and I want to figure out who else pointed this. It was inspired by Patrick's work in January, where we did the trend lines on the log charts. Will, myself, adding to them. This line over here, it has in previous cycles provided resistance. Would it make sense for price to be coming up and testing that important psychological level of $100,000 before breaking above it and then running off into that cycle peak, right? I'm betting on Bitcoin. You all know why. Do I think that there's a high probability that price is gonna, trade into that $100,000 area? My models would be broken. All of my analysis would be off. I mean, for diminishing returns, the math I did to start this off is $160,000. I feel I'd never expected countries to be adopting Bitcoin during this bull market phase. I never expected public companies to be spending billions of dollars on Bitcoin during this bull market phase. It's exceeding my expectations about how quickly the dominoes are falling. And then I look at the Fed and the monetary policy, and I see that it's uber easy. It's as if the perfect storm is arising for Bitcoin, as we come in towards its cycle peak, right? And we're all over the pulse. Is that giving me the opportunity to set up this trade here this morning, right? It's just, I started setting it up last night. It triggered this morning. I was setting it up last night though. This is what I was doing as the kids were taking a shower and getting ready here, watching what's going on, keeping that awareness I have. Triggered this morning, right before, about a half hour before I got online with you all, right? The risk, I know my risk, right? I'm willing to risk 5% of one of my accounts. That's no problem. Of one of the many strategies that I'm deploying throughout this bull market and before it even started, as I presented to you from day one, taking as many people as possible with me, right? 5% at this particular time mid-cycle, it's preemptive. There's no question about that. We haven't broke the most important trend line in crypto. By the way, if I am stopped out, right, and then I'm going to go ahead, what is Jordan going to do? Jordan's going to take the next line of repair. He's going to put it in. Will he take that next one? Most likely, right? Will I risk another 5%? Absolutely, right? You could do 15% at once, or you could break that into multiple different entries. And then eventually, right, I have the most important trend line in crypto for another attempt. I'm setting my stop loss off the low over here. If you want to be conservative, you know where the low is, and you should also wait for the most important trend line in crypto to break out. Risk to reward on this trade is just absolutely ridiculous. If you're talking about trying to do epic things and legendary things, like, which do you think was smarter? Trying to sell this over here as Bitcoin was in this area over here. And I pointed out, hey, listen, you're playing a $3,000 range. What are you doing? I could accumulate more Bitcoin if I'd sell it and buy it back and then buy it and sell it. All right, get on you. I'm spending my time doing my live streams every day, working out what's going on so that I have the awareness I need to make those few pokes a year, right? Because the goal is 70% a year, right? If most of you experienced the 2020 bull market, you guys are up 350% in 2020, well exceeding your 70% yearly goal. What's happened in 2021? Poke it with a stick. Bitcoin's not doing anything. Yeah, but it's up 31%. All right. That's below my goal. But from my view, we haven't even got started yet, right? We're looking at a potential 9x from here, right? All right. So this could be a good year, just like last year was fantastic, right? But what happens if like the goal is 200% a year? And that's my goal, right? You got to make a few good choices a year. Right? Is this the opportunity right now as prices getting ready to break above the most important trend line in crypto for you to make one of those good choices a year? I think so. I'm doing it, except I'm doing it from, there's a difference between like doing things right, which was waiting for the most important trend line in crypto, and then deciding what risk you're comfortable with. There's no need to be a hero. If you're a little bit more experienced, and you know what you're doing, maybe you're using the swing low because you know that, all right, maybe I'm going to get stopped out, but I know how to get back in. And I'm managing my risk tighter because I have just a little bit more ability. Or if if you had the foresight to understand what was happening, and then as price, played out as you expected, and then you lined it up and watching it, taking that first opportunity here, the risk to reward, to the upside, you're talking 50, let's just make the math easy. $50,000, risking 5% or $10,000 for every $3,000 move, you're talking $500,000 to the upside, and that's price trading well below the $100,000 level, right? So I hope that's helpful for a lot of you realizing a lot of things about trading and investing, and most importantly, not only seeing the clarity of how to get it right, but where you've been getting it wrong. It's the most important way to make progress is to figure out what you're doing wrong first and stop doing that. Remove, it's the easy fruit, the low hanging fruit. Remove what your biggest obstacles are, and if that's over trading, that's usually a big obstacle for a lot of inexperienced traders. If it's trading too big a size, that's usually a lot of a big mistake that newer traders make. You don't need to make those same mistakes. We have the CTM training program. You could work with me. You could see the CTM strategy, all of its principles, And then you could go ahead and bring that into all aspects of your trading and investing career. Work with us on the Discord. If you're not doing it, I really think you're missing out. Max, by the way, BlockFi does let you release excess collateral. Yeah, I've done it. You know, you have to send them an email to do it. Go ahead and send them an email, and then you could do that for sure. Is it time to buy the dip, right? Boom. And then, you know, Crypto Millennial, he's telling us that, well, this is a bear trap. The bear trap complete. No. This is a bull trap. Oh, all right. Well, listen, I'm not going to do it. But if you think that this is a bull trap, my brother, no, cryptos, millennials, millennial cryptos, millennial, it's confusing. Are you representing the whole generation? Because you're the bull's a millennial also, but he thinks that this is a bear trap. And he's outlining to you exactly why he thinks it's a bear trap. And his game is pretty tight. I would recommend following him on Twitter. It's at misconfig_exe, right? And then you could weigh your own view versus his and figure out, you know, which of you's got it right. That's what I would do if I were you. And again, just pointing people towards the best resource to help them, right? All right. Where are we at? What are we looking? PD Capital, yesterday calling the bear trap, right? We've been calling the bear trap here, all mid-cycle shakeout, trying to be preemptive of the mid-cycle shakeout before it occurred, right? Over here, price off 30%. Me thinking that's the mid-cycle shakeout, right? Price coming up. This is the V. It's going to be quick. It's going to be sharp, right? And then boom, price rejected up. That's not a V. That's not sharp. Actually, I don't know what's going on. Getting neutral over here. Is this potentially the V now, right? Everyone who knows the work that we were doing over here, you know, into the first week of April, last week of March, it's all on the videos if you want to go back and watch it, right? And learn what's going on. It's setting up our knowledge for what's coming out of what we perceive to be the low of the mid-cycle shakeout. And it might not be the low of the mid-cycle shakeout. You know, it's possible, and I've said it, that the bears hold up here. They put on a massive attack and are able to go ahead and challenge the lows and break to them. Maybe then we see an actual capitulation and this thing's come. And if that happens, we're then saying, okay, from whenever this occurred, all right, it's approximately $150 into that cycle peak. But assuming that the low is in, and once we break the most important trend line in crypto, there's a higher degree of certainty that that low is in than there is today, right? Breaking outside of the descending triangle, there was a higher probability that the low was in than there was before we broke out to the upside, right? Where does that bring us? I don't know. I was going somewhere really good with all of this. It was all really good, but then we all of a sudden just stopped and paused. And that's what's a good place to be. Pausing over here, waiting for the attack. Right? Once we break this out, potentially looking at a 9x over here, it's the time to pay attention today. It's a really important time. And that doesn't mean that you have to, you know, go ahead and take the same trades that I'm trading. You shouldn't do that at all. But you should be focusing on the higher probability trade, right? You should be focusing on right now, what's going to happen when I break the most important trend line in crypto? Do I see the value of the thesis being presented? Do I see the amount of history and track record behind it and how it's been correct? And is this the opportunity here, right? Look, 2 weeks ago, I'm trying to sell bottoms. I'm selling into support. You know, I thought it was going to work out well. It didn't. I actually, instead of gaining Bitcoin, lost Bitcoin. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm seeing the value of just watching a lot more, understanding what's going on. So when something presents itself, I have the opportunity to attack. And that's all it is. All right, I think I lost. There we go. Boom, connection back. Let's keep going. Safer trade is once price breaks the most important trend line in crypto, right? 2 opportunities for your stop loss. It's below this last swing low at approximately $37,000, or it's below what is the lowest price point of the mid-cycle shakeout. That's a safe one. That's a good one. And your risk to reward to the upside is extremely well. If we hit $160,000 diminishing returns, you had a 10-to-1 risk reward ratio. That's super solid, and that's a high probability trade, you know? What else? That's the question. Did we cover everything? I think we got everything. Do you think that you're going to be able to get 70% a year? Right? Do you think that you're going to be able to get 200? Right? We're at 230 right now. Anyway, I don't know, but I know, but I don't know, but what I know. I'm going to play some honeymoon over here. How long we've been live this morning? 47 minutes, super session over there. Nate, right? Watching 100K in 2 months, but I'm totally ready to battle the most important trend line in crypto until November. And then this is right here is awesome. Nate is all over it. Listen to what Nate's saying, the perspective that he's laying out. Nate is bringing back everything CTM has. Whoa, what do we got going on over there? Nate is bringing in and summarizing all the work we've done over the last couple of months. For real. He's like, listen, right? I understand in the next 2 months we could be trading in towards $100,000, right? But I'm mentally prepared and I'm ready that, it could take a while longer for the most important trend line in crypto to break. I have a high degree of confidence once it breaks that it's on to the moon. Right? And then we also have the other perspective, Nate, just adding to that and building off. Not only once we break the most important trend line in crypto, after that, our attention is moving towards, is it the all-time high? Do y'all think that we break the all-time high in this bull market? Or is this all just random right now? Is we just doing a random walk? These prices is just like, or do you think that we're going much higher than the new all-time high once we take it out? And is $100,000 that next level? This trend line over here becomes the line to watch after price breaks the most important trend line in crypto. It's the next big milestone we need to take out. And once we take it out, that's when liftoff begins and we're in towards that last cycle peak. It matters to have the accuracy and the precision to get it right. And that's why it takes the work and the work ethic we have. That's what it takes. What else? I want to play some honeymoon over here, and as I do, I'll see where we're at. But I want some honeymoon vocals. There we go. We'll talk about this in 1 second. It's a good question. Andre, we'll talk about this too. I think 70% is actually super safe and conservative, right? We could talk about that. We got the numbers. Because you have to run the numbers. You can't just like, you have to, that's what this is all about, calculated returns. And if you want to work out the numbers have been worked out. But I just don't throw stuff out there like, I don't think that's possible. And by the way, do the numbers with 30%. There we go. That's real. Ken, buen dia. I'm not sure what the MITB is, what the MITB is. Could I explain why I moved down? Let me know what that is, and then I could let you know. You know, for sure. Bradley, right side, Nate, right here, ready to defend that line with more accumulation. You guys are all over it. All right, there's a lot of good comments to talk about, or 5 of them, and really this one too. Arthur Twins, I know that you've been here since March 2020. Right? Beautiful to know the update though, right? Now that you're $200,000 up to $200,000, and you throughout the rest of this bull market, you're setting up to make that 1 million, right? But that's after taxes, right? Because if you're at $200,000 right now, most likely by the end of this bull market, you're looking at 2 million, right? Is that a 10x from here? The BlockFi account I use, that's levered up a little bit with loans, so that's a little bit different. All right, $1 million at 26, looking ahead 4 years, right? What is that $1 million? Where are you going from here? What's next, right? Because it gets good. Ending this bull market here with, some people looking at, they don't think 70% is attainable. But over the next 4 years, throughout the next bull market, is the next 4 years going to see a 70% return, right? What is that? Why does that say 8 million? Is that what you're looking at? Oh, it's monthly. Hold on one second. Let me try to get this correct. All right, 4-year plan, 70%. We saw a 300%, 315% gain in Bitcoin in 2020. 2021, the year of the bull market in Big Candle, it's 31% right now. Are we going to meet that 70%, or are we going to exceed it? Are we looking at perhaps even what is a 9x, or are we looking at something more like, repeating the last return from mid-cycle to cycle peak, a 7x return? Or are we going to see like massively diminishing returns? Are we going to see a 4 or a 5x from here? It's all possible. There's no question about that. You're 26. That's 30 years old. What about just adding in, one more bull market? Some people out there, they don't think that we're going to see a supply shock during the next halving in 2024. Right? Willie Woo was very clear that he doesn't think that the next halving is going to cause a supply shock, and this is the last cycle. Like from now on in, Bitcoin just does a random walk. It doesn't stop at $1 million. He puts it at 100 trillion. I mean, the dollar going to zero, that's assuming. I don't know about any of that business. I'm looking at gold overtaking the market. I'm looking at Bitcoin overtaking the market cap of gold. I believe it happens 4 years from now. That's placing Bitcoin at approximately $500,000 per Bitcoin. I don't think it stops there. I think that Bitcoin is way more useful and better than gold for many, many different reasons. I think it goes on to compete first that overall monetary supply. There's trillions out there. There are hundreds of trillions out there, and Bitcoin is going to go ahead and take a larger share of that. Will it stop at $1 million per Bitcoin, right? Is it? Obviously not. Some milestones to throw ahead of us. 8 years, 70% over the next 8 years. I think that CTM could do a lot better than that, but you're talking at building what becomes over the 12-year plan, it becomes generational wealth. There will be some people here, right, like the Arthur's twins, who is able to achieve these things throughout their lifetime, assuming Bitcoin continues to be Bitcoin. And if that's not happening, I assure you, we will be hyper-focused on where we need to be to achieve our goals. But as it is, the greatest opportunity, the opportunity of a lifetime, I called it in 2019 when I started presenting it to you, making the case and talking about how you have to view this thing as technology adoption, pointing out to you the internet and the growth of the internet. Over the next 2 years since, we're actually outpacing that growth, the growth of the internet, right? Anyway, what else do we want to say? Right? We looked at that. Look, you got to run the numbers. You got to do it yourself. I tried my hardest to help you. I don't have the time for that. You know, if you can't see it, then you're going to miss it. All right? You got to put the work in yourself when it comes to something basic. If you don't know what a trend line is, search what a trend line is. If you don't know what support and resistance is, take the course, work with us. But you got to put the work in yourself. Gino talking about a bear flag, right? A bull flag, sorry, on Bitcoin. Let's try. What I was thinking, Gino, right? I was just saying to myself, I have no idea what happens, but because of the steepness of this pullback, if this is a healthy market, we want to see us come out also hard and quick, right? Otherwise, most likely, we're going to come into this most important trend line in crypto, and it's going to act in resistance, and we're going to be consolidating here for a while. Those are my thoughts. Is that a bull flag? Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm trying to get that. Here's the trend line up. It's a bull flag. For sure. Regardless of the bull flag, the best TA in the world. Follow CTM and what we're doing and how we're doing it. Just placing our trend lines. It's more important than whatever else you're seeing out there. It's the purest signal out there. You could see when someone is CTM trained. You could see when someone is CTM influenced by the way that they do their chart work. Do it, be it, live it. Gino, you know it. So the entry as price makes the breakout of the most important trend line in crypto. All right, two things. Right now, in all markets outside of Bitcoin and altcoins, when Bitcoin's in its bull market. And what the reason altcoins without Bitcoin are absolutely nothing. Is there going to come a day when something like Ethereum is able to break away from Bitcoin's 4-year cycle? Maybe, but that might be, or most likely that will be, as Bitcoin has reached mature adoption, as the bell curve is flattening, as there is no more 4-year cycle and it really is just the last cycle, right? As that occurs, when is that going to occur? Is that 8 years from now? Maybe. That's, is it happening today? I don't think so. I think there's massive amount of gains to be had from where Bitcoin is right now. You take, what I was getting at is Bitcoin is the rising tide that lifts all boats, right? And that's what it is. People are looking for Ethereum to break Bitcoin cycle. Be aware of it. It could happen. Most likely it's not going to happen. We've seen through the beautiful work and artistry of Ian how this cycle we're seeing Bitcoin and Ethereum really so highly correlated. When they have their pullbacks, they happen together. When they resume out, they happen together, with Ethereum outperforming, and that continues. We want to also look at Ethereum, Bitcoin. We'll do that in a second. The breakouts could be made on the breakout itself in Bitcoin during its bull market phase. You don't need to wait for the retest and resumption. Now, you might not get a retest and resumption. Price might, I'm not trying to cause FOMO here. I'm just talking about what is. You might see price take off on the, and not put in a breakout resumption. Now, the breakout resumption is there it's a very, very low probability trade in most markets that you get a breakout or a breakdown. Breakdown's more common without having any type of retest and resumption. So it's safer because you have so many failed breakouts to take the breakout, retest, and resumption. It's going to do wonders for your overall bottom line over the course of a year. Now, in this particular instance, I would lean towards myself taking the trade on the breakout itself, right? We're deciding where you're going to manage that risk before you take the trade. Is it down over here? Is it up over here? Whatever it is. But, if you wait for that first breakout retest, it could come all the way back in. It could come lower than that particular price. Do you remember what happened on silver, that last breakout? This was right over here, right? I said to you, look, normally I would not take a breakout. I'm taking the breakout here on silver. I took the breakout. It came in then for a retest and resumed off, offering that second entry. And it was a better entry, but they're close. They're close. So Run DMC, I hope you get it. I would be going with the breakout not the breakout, retest, resumption on the break of the most important trend line in crypto. All right. Ethereum. We didn't even look at a chart of Ethereum today. Ethereum is breaking out. Let me get off the log chart. Ethereum's right now into that. Ethereum here, you can see outperforming Bitcoin, and it's into the most important trend line in Ethereum right now, right? So what does that mean? Well, getting ready here. We got the announcement of, I have it somewhere. I'm trying to find out where I got it, right? There we go. Today's the London upgrade. It's EIP 1559. And the headline is it's going to make your ETH a lot more valuable, as now we're seeing roughly, 3% of the supply being burnt a year. Listen, 1 to 2% a year, So listen, is that going to make, right? You're seeing speculation happen right now, first of all, right? You're seeing people speculate on something that is a rather fast horse in the race. Probably the fastest horse. I know Paul Tudor Jones called Bitcoin the fastest horse in the race because, as far as he's concerned, Ethereum's not even in that race. He's not competing for money. So now some people might say, well, this makes Ethereum more scarce than Bitcoin right now, so therefore it's going to flip it and be more valuable. Well, flip it may, right? But here's the thing: on Bitcoin, that it's set monetary policy. At any point in the future, the powers that be, the centralized forces who run the Ethereum blockchain, the ones who decided to roll back transactions in the past, and we had the split from Ethereum Classic, they could decide, well, this no longer fits what we want for Ethereum going forward. We don't think it's in its best interest, and now we're going to make this thing inflationary again. It could be changed. So if you're Michael Saylor and you're, betting on Bitcoin, billions of dollars, right? He's going with what he believes he could hold for the longest with the great uncertainty. So anyway, worthy of noting today that the upgrade's taking place. More importantly, what's happening on the charts, and you see Ethereum coming into what is the most important trend line in Ethereum. A breakout above, this sends off the second phase of the bull market. What do we call it, by the way? We were calling it mid-cycle, as we were mid-cycle. What do we call the final throw of the Bitcoin bull market? We have to find out how we're going to term it, what we're going to call it. All right, everyone, good session. A lot covered, a lot done. And Kathy Woods, listen, there was a lot of fear and uncertainty when she did it, right? The IPO traded down pretty hard. She loaded up, and now you see the Wall Street Bets investors coming in there, and they're getting involved in Robinhood, and that's fine. I mean, it's hard to support Robinhood, in my opinion. Like, you're the customer, first of all, and then when the markets really get jumpy, they go offline. So, I mean, that's up to you. Ethereum, Bitcoin with the breakout. This is my, I wanted to say, I can't even think of the word I want to say or even pronounce it if I could think of it. This is a big deal. And you can see the breakout, the retest, the resumption off right now. Price making the higher high, right? We have to watch this. This is a new thing happening where you're seeing coming out of mid-cycle, the dominance versus Ethereum versus Bitcoin. The Bitcoin dominance, normally strong this particular point on cycle, now weakening. And we're seeing what Ian and Ted, when we did the CTM training session on the modeling crew, Ian said that he foresaw this happening, right? We talked about it with Brandon from Crypto Trades and Tech. Brandon figured that, actually we're going to see Ethereum come off, break down out of this. No one knows which of the two is going to happen. I actually lean towards what Brandon thought, and I thought that we're going to break down over here. And then if that did happen, that's also setting up the second alt season. What does this mean as far as the second alt season if we're seeing Ethereum outperform this point of the cycle? That's something we're going to work out together. We're going to spend a lot of time in right now. That's where the focus needs to go to as this new development is occurring. And it is a new development, right? And what the expectation here is that from this point on into the cycle peak, I'm trying to find Ian's chart, That's the double waves. I'm trying to find his chart of Ethereum. I'll have it for you tomorrow, right? What this means, though, as Bitcoin does, its expected dance into its cycle peak, right? Could be wrong. We don't know, right? That we're going to see Ethereum doing the same thing, but outperforming Bitcoin. We'll put it all together. Everyone, thanks for being here. Wall Street Bets People Investors. Did I do that? I apologize. Everyone knows what my thoughts on the subject. You know, for sure they do. Everyone knows that. I mean, listen, they're at the end of the day, they're a very small minnow. That's all they are in the marketplace. The Wall Street Bets collectively are still a couple of small minnows. Whatever, it's all good. Russell, it started when I went on vacation. You know, why I was on vacation, though, you guys know that I was with you all every day, right? We don't stop. You all remember when I had COVID and I had a fever that first day. I didn't really know what was going on yet. Out here bringing the fire. I'm with you. It's in the battle. You all remember who held strong. You remember and don't forget who held the line mid-cycle, because the fear was real. And the disinformation, it reminds me of the 2018 bear market in December, people talking about $1,500 Bitcoin. You know, it's a big deal to get it that wrong. That's all I'm saying. It's a big deal. You got it. You got it, David. Thank you so much, everyone. You know? All right. So, I wish you all a beautiful day. Yes. On gold and silver, wait for that retest. Definitely. So, all right. I'm glad you mentioned it. And the reason I'm glad you mentioned it, this is a big deal. I want to go ahead and highlight that yellow so I can come back to it after I get off with all you and start preparing for tomorrow's stream, what it all means, putting it together, see what's going on with Ian, his thoughts on it, right? Gold and silver. There you go. You're already getting the retest in. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. We'll be monitoring these as the entry occurs. So maybe it's a fake breakout. This is how you're protected, right? So by the way, so you guys know, like, I have a little bit of leeway here, right? I'm hyper focused in on what? On the most important trade that matters. Why? You know, I mean, you all could see the type of importance that was placed this and why, the timing and everything. You're talking about, like, anyway, it speaks for itself. I was watching this from afar, and I think I got this line wrong, right? There's the top of the trend line. There's the top peak also, right? You could see that we are far from breaking that line on gold, but silver not as much. Silver's ready. Silver triggered, right? Silver's already breakout, looking for that retest, resumption off. Gold be a little bit more cautious, right? If I pull up the symbol gold silver, are we seeing silver outperform then? No. That, by the way, looks like a descending wedge. And watch, as we might see, watch what happens next here, fam. Is it possible? I'm not going to get into the macro right now. I'm not prepared. Is it possible we're going to see gold break out of this descending wedge and outperform silver? I'm trying to think what's going on over here. I know I think yields are getting ready to bottom, by the way. I think yields are bottoming down over here. We'll see if that's right? I'm already lining up the next move. And what I foresee yields, by the way, rising sharply and going this way. We'll see if that's right or wrong. That's a bold call over there. Trying to see how that figures into gold and silver. And what's interesting, as yields have been so low, that gold and silver have not been reactive, right? When yields are rising, you see the pressure it places on gold and silver. And when yields are falling, you are not seeing that inverse correlation taking place that normally takes place. It's something to point out because it's different. And what it means, I'm not really sure. But I am pretty sure that right now, that if you're talking about these large funds, these public companies, these countries, they're not sitting down right now having discussions about buying gold. I don't think they are. But I do believe that they are discussing about buying Bitcoin. That I believe that we're going to have a massive mania phase coming up, and the participants are going to be whales. All right, get ready for the feeding frenzy, everyone. We are. What are we in the great ecosystem? Right? Are we sharks? All right, everyone. 648 likes. That's fire. That's awesome. Thank you for your support. Thank you for smashing the like button. Thanks for helping me be a better person. Thanks for making me a better trader and investor. I'm grateful for it. Dr. Kenneth, blessings, my friend. Good to see you. Look, what's the mention about the SEC is like it's a big deal or something. We talked about it yesterday as it was occurring, right? We gave it the time that like they're gonna does the SEC even have the ability to regulate these things? I mean, listen, they're complex nuances discussions. At the end of the day, all that they're trying to do is get their tax money. They're trying to regulate this, which means they're trying to like get their tax money, and they're opening up the door for more investors. Is it possible that something like Ethereum is going to be called a security? Right? It's pretty clear right now under its current form that it's got a pass. What happens on the upgrade to Ethereum 2.0? Does it become a security? Well, if you're invested in Ethereum, you know that it's highly speculative. You understand the risks, right? Are you willing to take those risks? I myself, I'm focused on Bitcoin. I'm focused on the most important trade that matters, the clarity. I'm going with what I believe offers the greatest opportunity with the least amount of risk. When you put half your net worth into something and you got a family, you're making sure that you're doing it taking upon the least amount of risk. Now, if you think, well, I'm young and I could take on more risk, well, then maybe maybe that's 10% of your savings. Maybe that's 10% of your portfolio, because you're not saving that, right? I mean, what you're doing is you're using your savings as investments. It's the only way to get ahead, right? So but if you're going 50% in Ethereum, maybe you're going to be right, and it's going to be, but you need to do that. That's for you to decide. That's what this is all about, right? Look, I let you know well in advance that I believe personally Ethereum was going to outperform Bitcoin during this particular bull market, in the bull market phase. And in the bear market, Bitcoin's going to outperform Ethereum. That's how it is. But doesn't mean that I wanted to go ahead just because the greatest potential lays in one investment to make that my investment. You don't need to anyway, we don't need to go there today. That's for y'all to think about. But that's the SEC, my brother, right? Mug Talks, right? It's not really should you listen, they're not going to all of a sudden call in all altcoins. They're not going to, are they going to go after, a project like Cardano and, look for, a payout like they're doing for Binance right now? Probably and most likely, right? Ripple, right? Anyway, it's all complicated, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, that's none of that is signal, in my opinion, right? I've been pretty good about it. That's including when a lot of y'all were getting on that Ripple wave. And I was like, watch out, right? Watch what happens. Be very careful. And then boom, right in your face. So I don't see any risks right now to the market from the SEC. And that's including if you're holding altcoins. Is it possible that at one point in the future, Ethereum is declared a security? In its current form, no. With the upgrade, possibly. Be careful. I don't know. But you should know if you're making that investment, whether or not it is something that you want a risk you want to take on. What else? Was there anything else you wanted to say about? Oh, as far as the SEC though, I believe as it is, more regulation is only going to bring in more money, whether that's through the opening of an ETF, right? Or whatever. You're seeing massive amounts of more money attracted to the space. It opens up the door for even more money. And, be careful what you wish for. You guys want those type of players in the market. Is that going to change Bitcoin? The corn? Not in my opinion. Not in my opinion. It will make it tougher perhaps. But look, where there's a will, there's always a way, right? And at the end of the day, I could send Bitcoin to you and you could send Bitcoin to me. without anyone's permission. It is a peer-to-peer network. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for making mine. Good session. Thank you for all the support. Whatever. I'm going out with Honeymoon one more time just so I can enjoy all of you. Craig, that's only on CTM live training sessions. We could do that, right? Worthy though, a session of the Three Little Birds. That's for sure. All right. Right. Thanks, PD. Speaking of, right, CTM all-timers, over a year or more, right? They're always around. Thank you, Craig. Harry, have a beautiful day. DXY is pumping? No, DXY is not pumping. So, look at that. There you go. You can see the trend line break. Sellers couldn't gain it. Buyers taking that back. We did this in the CTM training session yesterday. If you're not part of CTM and you're not participating on all the incredible and valuable information on Discord for whatever channel you're interested in, whether that is stocks or gold and silver, commodities, macro, Ethereum, altcoins, Bitcoin hodl, whatever it is, right? And you're not participating in the live training sessions, Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? You're missing out. You got to do it. It costs next to nothing, and the value is absolutely life-changing. It's immense. So everyone, that's it. Have a beautiful day. You got it, Julie. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Peter. Alan Au, you did too, my brother. Alan Au held the line mid-cycle, let it be known. His Twitter work speaks for itself at that particular crucial time. Never once getting swayed. Never once getting swayed. Alan Au is the next Willy Woo. That's the comment. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you so much for that. Alan Au is gold. That's why his last name is Au. All right, everyone. Until tomorrow, have a beautiful day.